Okie dokie. In this mission, we are taking a look at routing in SvelteKit. So if we take a look at one of our links here, and I click on this, we get a 404. And I've just noticed that I haven't actually put in the correct path for the link here. Just let me quickly correct that. This should be in some backticks here, and this should be mission. Then the slug. This should be wrapped in curly braces and have the $sign there to accept the variable into the template literal here. So we hit save and we go back to our missions list and we click on a link here. We have the mission route and then the mission name as the slug, but we get our 404. So just going to take this opportunity to quickly go through making a custom 404 page in SvelteKit. So we'll go back over to VS Code here and open up the Explorer. The file notation for the error file is much like the layout file here. So it's a new file, _, error.svelte. And I'm just going to paste some markup in here and then talk through the code. So here again, we are using the script context module. This will run before the page loads. Then in the load function, we are destructuring out the error and the status here. And we are just returning those as props for the page to use. We're using export let to take in the props. Then we have the error and status. We're using the status in this SvelteHead API here to have that in the tab. Then we just got a friendly message to say that the page doesn't exist, and then some more information with the status and the error message. So if I go back to the page now and just hit refresh on this, we get a bit of a nicer error message to show to the user of the project. Okay, on to routing. If you're familiar with Next.js, then this will be familiar. In the routes folder here, I need to create a new file for the mission. And then this uses square bracket notation for the slug. And this is a Svelte file. And I'm going to take the script context from the error page here. We're going to use that for our slug page. In the load function, I'm just going to use context for now. You might see this shortened to CTX, but I like context. And just for now, just going to return an empty props object. And I'm going to use a code snippet to log out what we have in context. If I hop on over to the browser now and pop open the DevTools for the console, and you can see that this is printed out the context for us here. What we are really interested in is the page params here to get the slug. So if I go back on over to my text editor and destructure out the page and then the params as a further destructuring. Now I can log out the params.slug and go back on over to the browser. Maybe hit refresh here. And then we get the slug we want, which we can use in our GraphCMS GraphQL query. So if I go back on over to the text editor, I'm going to need to use something very similar to what we have in the context module for the index file here. I'm going to need to use the GraphQLClient and do another query. So I'm just going to copy all of this into my slug file here. Let's just replace this. And we're going to want to get the page params. And I'm going to need to make a variable here for the slug, which I can destructure out of params. And I can use that slug in the GraphQL query. I'm going to replace this query with the query we made in the previous mission for getting missions. And there's a lot here to unpack, so let's just hit save here for now. So this is expecting a slug, and it's going to return the mission where the slug matches what's being passed in, which is this here. So we're going to need to pass that into the GraphCMS client here. So if I just put this in as const variables, and that can equal the slug, and then pass this into our client. And we're going to want the missions, not the launches here. Sorry, the mission, not the missions. And we're going to return that as props as well. Hit save on that. So much like we did on the index page, I'm going to use a script tag here. And that's going to accept the mission. Just to validate it's worked. I'm going to use the pre-tag trick, adding in the mission variable. So if we go over to our page now and hit refresh, we have all of our mission data. So for the rest of the mission, I'll be adding the markup needed to make this a bit more presentable. I'm just going to paste in the markup here. So we have the props were coming in as mission. I'm destructuring out a lot of the properties from the mission object. I'm using it to populate an article we have here. For the name, we're using conditional if statements for if there was a value for the mission being launched successfully. More ifs for article links, any related links to it. In some cases on the API, the data isn't available, so we need to know whether we should render them or not. And then finally down here, using the each again, if the Flickr images has items in the array, then we're going to loop through that and render out any image for that. And then finally, the rocket name and image. So let's save this and take a look at our page now. So here we have it in a nicer structure now. We're displaying our images, our Flickr images. And then right down here, we've got the Falcon 9 rocket we used for it. Okay, let's get this code committed to Git. Then we can move on to the next mission. So I'm using conventional commits. I'm just going to pop open my source control tab. Using my conventional commits add-in, I'm going to add new features. We're going to put this in as add routine and page markup. We'll add an additional message or any breaking changes. Okay, that's it for this one. In the next video, we'll be taking a look at SvelteKit endpoints. Bye-bye.